A strong introduction to your IELTS Academic Writing Task 1 can set the tone for the whole task. So let's write some together. This lesson is actually part of my IELTS Academic Pack, so this is a free preview. And there is a special offer for the pack in the description. If you go there right now, you can download the slides for today's lesson. Get your pen ready and let's get started. The introduction has only one role to play, to present the task. In most cases, one sentence is all you need. Occasionally, you may have two. The easiest way to write an introduction is to paraphrase the task sentence. Please note that you must not copy phrases from the task directly, but rather express the same idea in different words. Let me show you an example. Here is the task. The chart below shows the levels of employment in different sectors of the UK economy. My introduction is: the bar chart illustrates how many people were employed in 4 major industry sectors in the UK between 1910 and 2010. As you can see, my introduction has the same meaning as the first sentence in the task. Let me show you how you can paraphrase each part of your task sentence. How can you replace the type of task? In this case, you can add the type of chart, the line chart or graph, the bar chart or graph, the pie charts. Pie charts are usually called charts and not graphs, and in most cases you have 2 or 3 of them, hence the plural form. If you have charts of one type, you can use these names. If you have several, beginning your report by saying, "The pie chart and line graph is bulky and unnecessary," just say the graphs or the charts. It's okay to repeat this word. You can also begin with the data. What if you have a diagram? Well, just say the diagram. There is no synonym. Don't try to replace this word with anything else. In your report, you must use precise language. And don't worry about repeating keywords. Therefore, if you have maps, say maps. And if you have a table, say a table or the data. Next, the chart diagram map shows. The verb is always to show. Actually, you can keep it. The bar graph shows. There is nothing wrong with it. You could use to illustrate. The diagram illustrates. Or to display, the chart displays. A longer alternative is to provide information on. The data provide information on. The data is plural. The data provide information. Or to give information about. The table gives information about. The first 3 to show, to illustrate, and to display are more universal and can be used in almost any type of task. The phrases to provide information and to give information work well in some sentences but not in others. Carefully read your sentence to see which verb works better. Next, how can you paraphrase the main part of the task sentence? The chart shows the top 10 countries for oil production and consumption in 2010 and 2015. How can we rephrase the part I've highlighted? How about this? The bar graph illustrates the leading dozen of nations. I looked for a synonym for each word. Top, leading, 10, dozen. Well, I know a dozen is 12, but whatever. Countries, nations. The leading dozen of nations. What do you think about this technique? I would say, don't do that. You won't be able to find synonyms with exactly the same meaning for each word, and it's very important to keep your language precise. Instead, you could look at the main words and see how you could change the form of those words. production to produce, consumption to consume. Now, how can we paraphrase this sentence using the words to produce and to consume? The bar graph provides information on the countries that produced and consumed the most oil in 2010 and 2015. You can also use some question words to change your sentence structure. These are which, what, how much, how, and so on. Can we use any of them here? A couple, I think. The bar graph illustrates which countries produced and consumed the most oil in 2 time periods, 2010 and 2015. Or the bar graph shows how much oil was produced and consumed by the leading countries in 2 time periods. That's the passive voice. The oil was produced by countries. Another way to paraphrase is to add the words changes, amount, or level, if they make sense in your sentence. The bar chart displays the amount of oil produced and consumed by the leading countries in the years 2010 and 2015. The bar graph shows the changes in production and consumption of oil by 10 leading countries between 2010 and 2015. Now let's talk about the time period. Our task ends with in 2010 and 2015. You can say in the years 2010 and 2015 without any preposition, or in 2 time periods, 2010 and 2015, or simply in 2 time periods. Sometimes you're given an interval between 1970 and 2020. In this case, you could say from 1970 to 2020 or over during a 50-year period. Please note that 50-year, singular, not years, but year, a 50-year period. If you are given countries, for example, in India and the UK, you can say in 2 countries. In France and Germany can be paraphrased as 2 European countries or 2 countries in Europe. Some people like to include the units of measurement. For example, units are measured in pounds sterling or millions. This is not a mistake, but this is a memorized template-like sentence which is unnecessary. Further in your report, you will repeat the unit every time you give a figure. 5 million pounds, 2 million people. So it's pointless to give it in your introduction. Now it's time to practice. Get your practice workbook 1 and let's write some introductions together. The first task is: the chart below shows the number of tourists visiting Australia and Canada between 2012 and 2017. For simplicity, I'm not going to show you the full task. Just concentrate on this sentence. Pause the video and write your introduction now. Ready? I wrote a couple. The line graph illustrates how many people visited Australia and Canada as tourists over a 5-year period. Instead of the chart, I used the line graph. To show became to illustrate. The number of tourists visiting, how many people visited as tourists. I kept the countries as they were. In 2012 and 2017 is now over a 5-year period. That's it. Here is another version. The graph displays information about the amount of foreign tourism in 2 English-speaking countries from 2012 to 2017. Instead of tourists, I used tourism and added the word amount, the amount of foreign tourism. Australia and Canada are both English-speaking, so I decided to describe them this way. I could just say 2 countries. Between 2012 and 2017 is now from 2012 to 2017. Next, charts and tables without dates. Have a look at this task. In your introduction, you can simply paraphrase the first sentence as we did before, or you can actually add some information from your charts. Let's practice. Go ahead, read the task and write your introduction. Pause the video now. Ready to continue? Here is my first version. The charts illustrate the distribution of water resources on Earth. How water resources are distributed is the same as the distribution of water resources. Global is on Earth. This introduction paraphrases the task sentence. In my second version, I added some extra information from the charts. The charts provide information on the natural sources of water available on Earth and examine their distribution across various types of water and different regions of the world. Types of water and regions are what we see on our charts, so I used this information in the introduction. As a result, it's longer than the introduction I showed you before, but it works just as well. Let's have a look at other types of tasks. How can you paraphrase the task sentence if you have maps? The task is: the maps below show Westfield University as it is now and the plans for its development. All you need is some small changes, nothing drastic. Have a look at this one. The maps illustrate Westfield University before and after its proposed redevelopment. I changed plans for its development into proposed redevelopment. Here is one trick you could use. Maps always show changes, so add this word to your introduction. The maps display the main changes that are proposed in Westfield University up until 2030. When you're talking about changes, you don't need to use before and after. What we do is we compare the plans before and after to find those changes. So the changes is a noun. I could use the verb to change. The maps provide information about what will change in Westfield University after its redevelopment. This sentence is slightly less formal than the previous options, but you can still use it. Let's practice. Here is the task. Go ahead and write your introduction. Pause the video now. Ready? Okay, here is my answer. The maps illustrate the main changes that have taken place in Newbury High School from 1980 until the present moment. Because I'm talking about the result we see now, I use the present perfect here. And the proposed development up until 2030. So here I changed the plans for development to proposed development and added the date from the last map. Diagrams. When you get a diagram, it's easier to find a way to paraphrase the task sentence if you remember this. Diagrams show a process, stages, or how something is made, grown, etc. Here is the first task. The diagram below shows the stages in the recycling of aluminium drink cans. In this task, we see the words "the stages." How can you paraphrase it using the process or how? Go ahead, pause the video and write your introduction. Okay, I have several ideas. The diagram illustrates the process of recycling aluminium drink cans. Here I used the process. We can also use how. The diagram provides information about how aluminium drink cans are recycled. You can even keep the word stages. The diagram displays the stages involved in aluminium drink cans recycling. You see, the paraphrasing is light. I keep the keywords aluminium, drink cans, and recycling. This is the way to make sure my language is precise. Here is another task. The diagram below shows how geothermal energy is used to produce electricity. Try to paraphrase this introduction. Pause the video now. Ready to continue? Here is mine. The task uses the how structure. How energy is used. I used the process. The diagram illustrates the process of electricity generation in a geothermal station. I substituted to produce electricity with electricity generation and changed geothermal energy to a geothermal station. In our context, both work. It's important to write your introduction quickly to have more time for the all-important overview and at least 2 body paragraphs. That's what you can learn in these 2 lessons. You can also learn how to meet each requirement, plan your report, link your ideas. We'll even brush up on the verb tenses and passive voice. You'll also learn how to write each type of task. You've seen the preview of the Task 1 course. In the IELTS Academic Pack, you also get vocabulary for Task 1, courses for writing Task 2 and speaking, and step-by-step guides to listening and reading. There is no separate courses for these 2 because I think my free lessons and official practice tests are all you need. There is a special offer if you enroll right now. The links and details are in the video description. And if you haven't downloaded the slides for today's lesson, they are right there. And this lesson will teach you how to write introductions to writing task 2. Thank you so much for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam.